Every time I do any sort of public speaking, somebody comes up to me and asks me a question along the lines of, is it still possible to become a millionaire in America today during a time where inflation is so high, or during a time where the economy is potentially slowing, or during a time where the wealth gap is the widest ever, or during a time where it looks like everything is going wrong? And the answer is yes. And there are two things that you need to understand about this. Number one is understanding where you are relative to where the economy is. When I was on stage with Lewis Howes recently, he was talking to me about what's going on in the economy, and the question he asked me is, if somebody's just getting started on their journey, they're working to build their own side hustle, they're working to build their own business, they haven't gotten it really off the ground yet, but they're trying to make their first $10,000, how should they be positioning themselves relative to what's going on in the economy, with the risks of a potential recession, with the risks of high inflation? What should somebody do to be able to capitalize on things that could happen in the economy and buy investments for cheap? And my answer was, if you are getting started in your wealth building journey, in your income growing journey, you have to ignore everything going on in the economy. You should ignore everything going on with inflation. You should ignore all that noise outside, because right now you're focusing on building yourself. You're focusing on building your own income. You're focusing on what you're doing. There is no reason for you to be worried about an economic slowdown or really anything else when you don't have any money coming in, because the whole idea of buying assets for sale during a recession means you have money to be able to go out and buy those investments. If you don't have the money yet, you don't have the income yet, who cares about what's going on in the outside world? You got to go out and build yourself. All you need to do is ignore what everybody else is saying, ignore what the world is doing, ignore what's happening, everything else in the political world, in the economic world. You got to build your money. Until you have some money coming in, until you have some income, until you have some money, you got to stop caring about what other people think. You got to stop caring about what's going on in the economy. You got to stop caring about what's going on in the political world. You got to stop caring about what's on Netflix. All you got to care about is how much cash is in your bank account and how much cash is coming into your bank account. If you don't have that solved, none of the other issues matter. Once you have some money coming in, now you can start preparing. Well, okay, if I'm worried about a recession, if I'm worried about asset prices going down, here's what I can do to prepare. Here's what I can do to help my situation. But if you're working on building your own income, you got to stop caring about what's going on and everything else. And then you got to work on building your own income. I mean, if you can just look at some of the biggest companies in the world today, Uber, Microsoft, Venmo, WhatsApp, all of these companies were created during a recession. And this is where now you got to dig a little bit deeper. If you are trying to figure out how can I build wealth today in this economy, in this climate, well, what you should be doing is working a little bit backwards. Meaning, look at what successful people have been done and kind of dissecting what they did. If you look at millionaires today, 8 out of 10 millionaires in America today were self-made, meaning these are people that did not get their money from inheritance. These are people that actually went out and created their own wealth, whether it was through building a business or using their income smartly to build some wealth through their investments. Now, how did these people become millionaires? Well, what you see is that a common trend amongst all wealthy people is that they read books. How many books? 50 books. That's about 1 book a week. And these aren't fiction books. We're talking about personal development books, books on how to build a business, books on financial education, books on learning how to invest, books on learning how to grow your wealth, books on understanding how to protect your assets. These are the types of books that wealthy people are reading. So now if you're spending your free time watching Netflix, which is what the average person is doing, while somebody else is reading books on how to build wealth, how to grow my wealth, how to protect my wealth, who do you think is going to have more wealth in 10 years? And it doesn't even matter how much money you're making, it's what you do with the money you make, which is why many times you will see people with lower incomes end up with bigger wealth. It's because they learned what to do with their money. Your financial education is what's going to determine how wealthy you become. It's not just your income. Now, of course, your income can help, but the first thing you have to understand is how do you manage and control the money that you have. Once you build that level of financial education, now you just got to pour some gasoline on the fire. Meaning you got to learn how to earn more money. And there's an infinite number of ways for you to earn more money, whether it's starting your own business, whether it's through your career, whether it's through a side hustle. It's going to take work, but most people go in with the mindset of, I don't want to put in that work. Oh, I don't want to go in and work for my boss and get paid pennies. What you're doing is you're limiting your ability to actually grow. It's not because you're being underpaid. It's because you're not seeing the opportunity at work. You got to start figuring out who are the key players in your work. And if you are the one that's excelling at your job, if you become the most valuable employee because you come in and you're putting in the hours and you're doing things above and beyond, somebody's going to notice. Maybe it'll be your boss. And they're going to be willing to give you a promotion. If it's not your boss, somebody else might notice you and they might offer you a job somewhere else. Maybe you'll see another opportunity. Maybe you'll find a brand new business opportunity because somebody in your company wants to start a business and they see the work ethic that you have. They see the work culture that you have. They see that you want to win. Well, who do you think they're going to want to ask to help join them? The person that's just sitting there picking their nose, sitting all day, doing nothing? Or the person that's coming to work trying to grind and trying to produce something? See, the person that comes into work, the person that comes in to want to succeed, the person that comes in that wants to win is the one that's going to find more opportunities because you're going in not just to make money, but you're going in there to win. You're going in to find opportunities, and the only way you can get those opportunities is if you have the mindset to win, because most people go in with the mindset of play not to lose. I just want to get my paycheck and leave. And when you play with that mindset, whether it's for your own job or for your own business, you will never have the opportunity to succeed ever. Period. You got to come in and want to win with everything that you do, whether it's for a minimum wage salary or for $1 million a year. Now you might think, well, of course it's easier if you're making $1 million a year. Why would I want to come in and work that hard if I'm just making minimum wage? Well, it's not because of the money you're making, it's because of what you're learning and who you're meeting. If you are that person that's working minimum wage, maybe you're working at a McDonald's, you're working as a server, well, you're interacting with people. And if somebody comes in and they see you working hard day after day after day, and they see you excelling, well, sometimes you might find a job opportunity. You never know who's going to be coming in as a client. You never know who's going to be coming in as a potential customer. You don't know who's coming in and seeing what you're doing. Maybe it's somebody within the company that says, you know what, we need somebody to run our restaurant. We need somebody to run our business. And that could be you. Or it could be a new startup founder that's coming in looking for somebody to help them guide their own employees. And they say, you know what, this person would be a great operations person. This person would be really good at managing the entire team because they know how to lead and they know how to work. Or maybe it's somebody who already has an established business and they see what you're doing and they want to give you an opportunity because they see what you're doing. You're never going to be able to ever get that opportunity if you're coming in just slacking and trying to just get by and get your next paycheck. Nobody wants to hire those people. Nobody wants to give that person an opportunity. People want to give opportunities that are coming to work, that are hustling, that are grinding. And yes, it's hard. You're going to have to put in work and see no success for a long time. I was making videos on YouTube for about 18 months before I got my first check. That means week after week after week after week after week, month after month after month for about 18 months. I'm making videos that nobody's watching. And then after I get my first check, I think I made like $250. $250 for about 18 months of work making videos. Now imagine that. Imagine working for 18 months without getting paid. And I should also remind you that I am a licensed attorney. I can charge a lot of money per hour to clients to do legal work. But I was making videos. Now, I was a little bit fortunate because I was making videos because this was something that I enjoyed doing and it was a value that I wanted to put out. So I came in making videos even though nobody was watching, even though I wasn't making money. Today, if my YouTube channel made $250 in a day, I would look to see what broke. You have to be willing to come in and work. And that's the difference between somebody who succeeds and somebody who doesn't. Can connections help? Sure. Can having rich parents help? Sure. Can having a whole bunch of mentors help? Sure. But most people don't have access to that. And so if you're not given a golden spoon in your mouth, you got to go out and earn it. And if it's your job to go out and earn it, you got to go out and actually figure it out. And this is hard because we live in a culture where people don't want to put in their work. And so the common denominator is everybody saying, oh, my lifestyle is more important than my work. Or I just want to chill. Or why should we have to work harder? We're just making the boss richer. Or this negative mentality where why should I have to go and do more than what I'm being paid to do? Well, yeah, that's one way to live your life. But then if your question is, how can I go out and become a millionaire? How can I go out and become more wealthy? You can't keep doing what everybody else does and expect to live much bigger. You got to be willing to come in and put in the work. And this is where you just got to decide what type of lifestyle that you want to live. Do you just want to be average and cruise by and just get the paycheck and just chill? Or do you want to live big? Because if you want to live big, you got to come in with a different mindset and you got to come in willing to work. And this is willing to work whether it's your job, whether it's your business, whether it's your investments. You got to be willing to put in the work, put in the diligence, put in the time, put in the risk. And that's where you can see the success. And now in order to train your mind, because you have to have the right mindset, that's where reading books help. Maybe you start by reading personal development books, books on how to build a strong mindset, books on how to succeed, books on motivation to help get you going. Then maybe you start reading books on money management, on how to budget, on the basics of financial education. Then maybe you start to read books on how to invest in real estate, how to invest in stocks, how to start generating cash flow. Then maybe you start reading books on how to build a business, how to increase your income. And it could be your job or it could be your business. It does not matter. There's a ton of education out there. And now it's just a matter of you starting to absorb different types of education, because while the average person is sitting there watching Netflix, now you're reading books on how to build your wealth. It's a completely different game, and you can't keep playing the same game that everybody else does and expect a different result. That's why I call this whole show The Minority Mindset, because the whole idea is you're thinking differently than the majority of people, because if you keep doing what the majority of people do, well, you're going to end up just like everybody else. Is it going to be hard? 100%. And that's why most people won't do it. Now, if you do want some additional guidance on how to invest your money, we have this free ebook on how to build wealth as an investor that my team put together at the Briefs Media company. Now, if you want to read this ebook, it's completely free. This walks you through the basics of how do you build the mindset of an investor, to now how do you start saving your money, to how do you start investing your money, to different ways to invest your money, how do you generate cash flow, to how do you protect your assets, to how do you spend your money smartly. There's a ton of value in this ebook. You could read this ebook for free. And if you want to download this ebook, I got the link for you down in the description below. We talk about building a business that's scalable. I've talked about that many times, where you want to build something that can grow, that doesn't necessarily need you. That's the definition of scalability, that it can grow and it doesn't necessarily need you to grow. But if you want that business to be able to grow and not need you to grow, you have to do things that can't grow. The